Just having black leadership is not enough for us. We don't care if the officer was black. We haven't been protesting against white racist cops. We've been protesting against the Blue Shields and the fact that they believe that we don't have rights as people of color, whether it's stop and frisk in New York, up against the wall in Chicago, or assume the position in Oakland. Enough is enough. We're not going to take it. And now we're holding Clayton County, the Board of Commissions, we're holding Chief Kevin Roberts accountable for this. And we're saying we would like to see revisions, and not just your revisions. We want you to give the community an opportunity to say, this is how we want you to police us. And I think that's the only thing that they can do as of right now. And I believe that that was traumatic, not only for those little boys, but everyone watching. And as I watched that film, I couldn't help but to think, what would have happened if the community didn't show up and show out for them that day? What would have happened if they turned a blind eye and allowed that man to point, if one of those kids made the wrong move, what would have happened? It's unacceptable. We're not going to stand for it. And we're asking the chief of police, Kevin Roberts, to make revisions now, to hear from the community now, because we're not going to accept this in our community.
When the chief, or can we ask questions? When the chief started saying that he thought the actions were acceptable, was he saying because of this 911 call, because of what the clerk had said, they had, how did he explain why he thought this was acceptable?
He explained to us that in any call in which they get where there's one officer and many suspects and a potential weapon, that they will draw their gun. These boys had their hands up. There was no weapon, and the officer was not in any immediate danger. From my understanding, they said that the officer, that the boys followed every instruction that the officer gave them, and not going for your taser, not to pull out your gun and point it. From my experience, and today, an older gentleman who was in the police force for 30 years, Joe Beasley, said in Fayette County, if you pulled out your gun, you weren't pulling it out unless you were going to use it. And in that moment, I will tell you, as I heard that, and even watching the video, that I knew that if that community wasn't there and one of those boys made the wrong move, or what that police officer felt was the wrong move, that one of those little boys would not have made it home that day. And so I commend people like Chanel and others that stood with those boys the entire time to ensure that they made it home that night.
Kamara, let me ask you, you were telling me off camera, I want to make sure we get the facts right here. When you were inside the store, it was you and two of your buddies, there's two other boys off to the side. You didn't know who they were. You're not friends with them, right?
No.
And you believe, right or wrong, whether you agree with the situation, disagree with it, those are sort of the two that led to police being called? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And once police were there, what...
Hold up. We don't know what, hey look man, all he know is he ain't had no weapon, he ain't had no reason for the police to pull no gun on him, man. That's all he know. He don't know what nobody else there was doing.
I was just trying to establish he didn't know everyone.
He don't know what nobody else there was doing but him. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody else who was there, they got to come here and speak for themselves and let you ask them questions. I mean, I understand that, but I'm just saying it's easy to misconstrue words and get people, especially he's been traumatized. He's 13 years old. You dig what I'm saying?
We got to get that right, because the police narrative has them.
The police always got their own narrative. That ain't nothing new. I'm not here to beg nor plead with you or the police, because I know that this is intentional. You dig what I'm saying? I'm here in solidarity and in support of this young gentleman and this young family and this community. And it's very simple, okay? If the police got such a narrative and has such influence from this 911 call, why don't we ever see little white kids being held at gunpoint? Okay? Period. The Constitution was written for all Americans, okay? Except it only seems like you have to be a certain shade or a certain color to reap the benefits of it. Why are only people of color, young black boys, young black girls being gunned down at the hands of policemen and using excuses like BB guns, water guns? There are little white boys that got real rifles that go hunting every day, every week with their grandparents and parents. They aren't being held at gunpoint. So that's what we here for. Let's not mix words and pretend like we don't understand what we dealing with right here. All right? Let's not do that.
And it's important to note that this isn't an isolated incident, right? What we've been fighting for, and I think a lot of people, what we've been fighting for is not just about George Floyd, it's not just about Breonna Taylor, it's not just about Ahmaud Arbery or the situation that happened yesterday. It's really the system. That's why we've been advocating for these police departments to fix the problem completely, wipe it clean, and start from the beginning and rebuild. It's about the system. And the truth is, this is not an isolated incident. When I posted that video yesterday, so many people from Clayton County began DMing me, telling me their story, saying, that happened to me, I was innocent, I didn't do anything. That's the problem. The problem is you can't say that there's no issue here, because it is. And this was an isolated incident that happened to be caught on camera by concerned citizens who fear for the police in this community. If there was no problem, if policing was great, the community would not have feared in the way that they did and intervened in the way that they did. So that's the problem. The problem is Clayton County and its use of force and it's history. And that's what we're advocating for today. This is an isolated incident.
Laura's mom, do you mind talking with us real quick?
Do you want to talk?
If you have something that you'd like to say.
I'm just interested in what police have told you and your reaction to everything. We'd just like to hear from you as Kamari's mother.
Can you say and spell your name?
My name is Lashunda. It's Lashunda.
And your last name?
Jackson. I'm sorry. I haven't had any police contact. Nobody called me, told me anything. I actually found out about the video this morning. My daughter, all the way in Ohio, sent me the video. She found out before I found out about this whole situation. And I was just wondering, like, why wouldn't the police contact the parents? They didn't contact any parents.
When you talk to your son, you watch the video, you hear some of the details police are putting out, just as Kamari's mom, you want to protect him, what's your reaction?
I'm very sad and frustrated about it because my son is a good boy. He don't get into any type of trouble. And for him to go through this, and I see he's been sad, he couldn't sleep last night or anything. So it's very traumatizing.
And that was my next question. How do you take care of your son after this?
I just been talking to him, and other people been calling and talking to him, and trying to explain the situation to him. This is the world that we live in right now.
Well, I've explained to him when I talked to him that the reason why he's going through this because there's a power that he possesses that hateful white people seem to be afraid of. And they're going to try to destroy that power before it becomes full grown. And I let him know that. And I let him know that he should not allow them to trap him within fear. Because this power that he has, that we all have, is God-given.
Kamari, can I ask you one question? How did you feel in the midst of that? Just describe that fear, and I know with everything that's going on, was there a moment you thought you may not walk away from this?
Yes. Step into the mic too.
Yes.
Describe how it felt like when you saw them coming, because at one point, you all were running because there was like 10 or 20 cars, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So describe like that fear for me.
I thought I was gonna die because I seen all these black kids just dying, and to have myself in that, it was just crazy.
Marcus Coleman, father of two boys, 26 and 14. Tip, you stepped in just a minute ago. It troubles me. My son's 14. Ain't no way in the hell he would have answered any of the questions. It's not that time, because this is a legal battle right now. It ain't that time. Truth be told, I don't know any of you personally, but I know when this story breaks, there'll be a lot about the BB gun, there'll be a lot about the store clerk. It's not going to be a lot about this family.
Or any of the families involved.
So let me just make sure we clear. That officer got to go. Not just for his actions, but if you watch the tape, he is scared as I don't know what. He's jittery. This is an isolated incident, Sister Mary Pat, but it fits hand in glove into the narrative nationally going on right now. policing our communities and how you do so. Brother Tip said it eloquently. You put the same two groups of youngsters and make them white, and we do not have this problem. Or if you take an officer who's not jittery, who I believe said that he was waiting on backup to secure the scene, you got 5 youngsters. It ain't wintertime. They ain't in bombers and puffy pants. Lay each one of them down, have the one walk over to you, check them and clear them. Come on, man, what are we talking about? The extra time that these youngsters were facing the barrel of the gun on top of what's happening in this climate, and be quite honest with you, on top of what we born with in our DNA. You are going to police our communities the same, or you will suffer the consequences. That's what's happening right now across this nation. Fire that officer, and shame on this chief for even acting as if he is in cahoots. But that's the problem, the culture, and he represents the chief of that culture. Please don't ask this youngster no more questions.
What happens next here in Clayton?
So one of the things that we are doing as a community, we understand that these are 13-year-old boys. We don't want to force them in a position in which they're not ready for. And so as a community, we will be here to support them tomorrow. We will be rallying in Clayton County to demand the chief and the commissioners and whoever else we need to revise the training of these officers and their de-escalation processes. And that's what our next steps are going to be. We are also going to submit what those revisions should look like. And we've asked to receive what we've asked to see what their current policies are, what their current practices are. We have not received those yet. I'm going to work on getting that tonight. And we look forward to submitting what those things should look like in our communities if you're going to come and police our boys. And that's where we're at now. Now it's about action. We went, we asked, we were told something that we don't feel is acceptable, and so we're going to put action behind it until we see change in Clayton County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.